I know you can't really see this, but every line on this shirt says fuck you. It's not related to anything that I'm going to say, but it was very important to me that that was something that you knew. Anyway, many moons ago, I was a personal trainer. I worked at a commercial gym directly across the street from a college. As such, the majority of the members there were college kids. And every single person, whenever they signed up, got a free consultation with a personal trainer. So a lot of the people that I sat down with were college dudes. And what every single one of them wanted to do was gain muscle. So by and large, they would come to me and say that they were having trouble gaining weight. And every single time I would say it is because you were not eating enough food. And invariably, they would dispute that and say, yes. Yes, I am eating enough food. And to them, that may have been true because to them, they were eating a bunch of food. They were eating a lot more food than they were used to eating, whatever the fucking case may be. But any degree of critical thinking will tell you that if you were eating enough food to gain weight, you would in fact be gaining weight. But what they interpreted as a lot of food was not the same thing as what was enough food. They were eating a great deal to them, but not enough in the overall scheme of things. I don't know how they measured it out. Doesn't really fucking matter. The point is, if they were eating enough food to be gaining weight, they would be gaining weight. They were eating an amount of food that they were personally uncomfortable with based on how it is that they had been living their lives prior. And they confused that with eating enough food, which is what the majority of people do whenever it is that they are trying to accomplish some sort of goal. They take whatever they think is enough and assume that because it's enough to them or even a lot to them, that it must be enough as a whole. But those two things have absolutely nothing to do with each other. Just because you think something is good enough, it does not mean that it is indeed good enough. Maybe you're doing more than you were ever doing before. Maybe you are pushing yourself beyond wherever it is that you have gone before. But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean a fucking thing. If you live your life and you have only ever ran 8 miles total and you push yourself as far as you can and now you ran 10 miles, that might have been the best that you can do. But that still does not mean that it is enough to complete, a marathon. No one gives a fuck about your best. No one gives a fuck about what it is that you think is enough. But everyone wants to just do what it is that they are comfortable with. And then when what they are comfortable with does not wind up being enough, they think that that thing just isn't working, or it's not right for them, or the method isn't proper, when in actuality, it is them who is not doing what is proper. It is them who is not doing enough. It is them who is not doing what is required. Because in life, period, there is no such thing as someone who has done every single thing that it takes to succeed and then not been successful at the thing. There is not any person walking this planet who eats enough food to gain weight and does not gain weight. Maybe for you, that's 2,000 calories. Maybe for someone else, it's 3,000 calories. Maybe for someone else, it's 4,000 calories. But if you're eating your 4,000 calories and that's enough for you to be gaining weight, then you would be gaining weight. If you are not gaining weight but eating a lot of food, then you are not eating the required 4,000 calories in this particular example. So, but people want to stay within their comfort zone and do what it is that they are comfortable with. The college kids wanted to do what it was that they were comfortable with. They ate enough food for them, what they perceived to be enough, what was a comfortable amount for them to eat, but they pushed it just a little bit, so they figured it had to be enough. But if you are comfortable doing a thing, then by very definition, you are never going to be able to grow doing a thing, because no growth can possibly happen in your comfort zone. Because by definition, for you to be comfortable with doing a thing, it means that it is the thing that you are used to doing, because that's how you got comfortable with it. You became used to doing the thing. If you've never ran before, going back to the running example, and you run a quarter of a mile, that'll be uncomfortable at first. But the more that you do it, the more comfortable that you will be running a quarter mile. But as long as you keep running that quarter mile that you were comfortable with, you are never going to add on to that. You are never going to be able to push yourself past where it is that you would like to be. So that is the problem. Everyone wants to sit inside of their stupid little comfort zone doing the things that they are comfortable with. But the things that you are comfortable with are what it is that got you to where it is that you are. The amount that you work now is what it is that has you making the amount of money that you make now. But people want to continue working the exact same amount but make exponentially more money. You even see the people online talking shit about people who work 80, 100, whatever plus hours per week, and how that's ridiculous and unsustainable and a terrible work-life balance. But at the same time, they want to be upset that these people have much more than them. They have more disposable income, they have more free time, they have more things, nicer cars, nicer houses, they could afford nicer vacations, they could do all kinds of great shit, but they don't want to make the trade-off. They want to continue working the exact same amount of time that they work and make the money that the people who work so much more than them work. People want to continue eating the same amount of food that they have been eating and lose weight or gain weight. But it doesn't work that way. If you want to weigh less than you weigh now, you have to eat less than you currently eat now. And that's going to be uncomfortable for a while because you're not used to eating less food. Same thing if you want to gain weight. If you want to get stronger, you have to lift heavier weights than you are lifting now. That's going to be uncomfortable. Anything that you want to do will be uncomfortable. But again, on the bright side of that, as I said already, there is not a single person who has done every single thing that it takes to succeed and has not succeeded in any realm. There is no person who goes to the gym the appropriate number of days a week, eats properly, hits their protein targets, gets all their macros and shit properly, and is not in the appropriate shape for the work that they are putting in. Everyone's body is a reflection of the work that they have put in. Everyone's bank account is a reflection of the work that they have put in. Everyone's relationship, everyone's housing situation, vehicle situation, whatever the fucking case may be, is a reflection of the work that they have put in. There is no person who has done more and not also gotten more. You might have excuse me, doing something different than you're usually doing, but it's still within your comfort zone. As long as you are in that area, then you are never going to go anywhere else. You are never going to improve. You are never going to better yourself. People have all kinds of expectations and stuff. People love to quote their statistics about 95, whatever the fuck percentage of businesses fail within the first 5 years. And they take that to mean that it is therefore hard or difficult to start a business and the majority of people will fail at it. Therefore, it is not the way to go. But while the majority of people will fail at it, it does not mean it's a thing that you cannot do. It just means that 95% of people are failures because 95%, if the percentage is 95%, I don't know what it actually is. I know it's somewhere around there, not entirely fucking relevant. But if 95% of people fail at starting a business, that does not mean that starting a business is a difficult thing or there's some sort of secret to doing it or there's some sort of magical club that you need to be a part of or a member of in order for your business to succeed. That just means that 95% of people are not willing to do what it is that takes to make something work. Same thing with 52% of marriages ending in divorce. People cite that to say that marriage is therefore not something that is a good idea or sustainable or people are not meant to do it. That's not true. The majority of people are just not capable of doing anything. Most people can't even drive their car properly. That doesn't mean that cars are not drivable. That just means that most people are not willing to do the work it takes to learn do what it takes to improve their driving skills, and they lack their self-awareness to know that they lack the driving skills. Same thing with marriage. The majority of people are not willing or equipped to do what it takes to make a marriage work. That's not a failing of marriage. That is a failing of people. Businesses failing is not a failing of businesses. It is a failing of people. The majority of New Year's resolutions not working out does not mean that New Year's resolutions do not work. It means that people do not work. Those are two vastly different things. Because again, if you set your New Year's resolution as you want to lose 100 pounds and you follow through and do every single thing that it takes to lose 100 pounds, then you will lose 100 pounds. And by extension of that, your New Year's resolution will have worked. There is nothing magical about a New Year's resolution that makes it work. There's also nothing magical about a New Year's resolution that does not make it work. All of it is up to the work that you are putting in to do the shit. And again, as I've been saying the whole time, my overall overarching, whatever the fuck you would like to call it, theme of this whole entire thing is stepping the fuck outside of your comfort zone. Because if you continue to exist where it is that you are comfortable, doing the things that you are comfortable with, you are only ever going to do the things that you have always been doing. And the things that you have always been doing are not the things that you want to be doing or be as a whole in life, as a person, goal-wise, personally, whatever the fucking case may be. The things that you are doing are the reason that you have those 100 pounds to lose for your New Year's resolution. The things that you have been doing are the reason that you live paycheck to paycheck. The things that you have been doing are the reason that you can't go on the vacations that you want to, you can't drive the car that you want to, you don't live in the house that you want to, you don't have the relationship that you want to, you don't have the physique that you want to. Those are all the results of the things that you have been doing. And all of those things that you have been doing have created your comfort zone. So if you were going to stay in there, you are only ever going to continue doing what it is that you have always been doing. And what it is that you have always been doing got you to exactly where the fuck it is that you are now. And that is not where the vast majority of people want to be. The vast majority of people are out of shape. The vast majority of people live paycheck to paycheck. The vast majority of people do not have the life that they want, the relationship that they want, anything that they want. Because the vast majority of people, whether or not they would like to admit it, live inside of their comfort zone. People might complain about the weight that they have, but if you're not doing anything about it, it's because you are comfortable at that weight. People complain about their paycheck, but if you're not doing anything to make more money, it is because you are comfortable making the amount of money that you are making. People stay homeless for years because at the end of the day, they are fucking comfortable being there. If you were truly uncomfortable, then you would have absolutely no choice but to change. Have you ever been sitting somewhere, laying somewhere, whatever the fucking case may be, and you're fine, and then all of a sudden you get incredibly uncomfortable and you can't when you get like that, you can't help but to change your position, but to try and find yourself a more comfortable position. If you are asleep and you wind up in a position that you are uncomfortable with, you will toss and turn until that is rectified, because it is physically impossible to stay in a situation in which you are uncomfortable. So if you take that information, you apply it to your own life, and you ask yourself, why is it that I am still fat? Why is it that I am still poor? Why is it I am still depressed? Why am I still in this shitty ass marriage, living in this fucked up ass house with messes everywhere that is never cleaned or organized properly? It is because at the end of the day, no matter what it is that you tell yourself, no matter how much it is that you complain about it, you are fucking comfortable there. Hell, you are comfortable having a life that you need to complain about. Your complaints make you comfortable. That's why people like to vent and shit and don't actually want anything to be solved, because it feels good to get that shit off their chest. But the problem with that is now once you do that, you have normalized whining about a thing without changing the thing, therefore reinforcing your area of comfort. And when your area of comfort is somewhere that do not want to be, you automatically wind up in a fucked up situation because you have no motivation to change it, despite what it is that you complain about or bitch about in Instagram comments about people doing all types of shit that you would like to be doing. You want a better life. You have to do what it takes to make a better life. And in order to do that, you are going to have to put yourself in an uncomfortable position, whatever the fuck that may be. I know there are people who are out of shape who don't like going to the gym because they feel like people are looking at them. That's fucking amazing. So what you should do is sign up, go to the fucking gym, and use that motivation of not wanting people to look at you all crazily, and push yourself every single day. And then when you go home, use that same motivation to stick to your fucking diet so that you lose the weight that you need to lose, so that you build the muscles that you need to build, so that you are no longer uncomfortable in the gym, rather than avoiding the discomfort, because that's what most people's hacks and all their tips are, is for how to avoid being uncomfortable doing certain things. This is how you get more comfortable only making this amount of money. This is how you make it better. This is how you be more comfortable in your body that you have that you don't like. You should not be trying to make yourself more comfortable there, because all you're doing is reinforcing the fact that it's okay for you to stay there. And the more comfortable you are, the longer you are going to be there. So put yourself in a situation that makes you fucking uncomfortable. Spend the money that you don't fucking have to gain some skills, to get some mentorship, to do whatever the fuck it is that will help you level up and get to that next place. But when you put yourself in a position that you are uncomfortable, you cannot help but to move yourself out of that position. The best way to learn to swim is to dive into the fucking pool. And then you have no choice but to figure out how to swim. You could read all of the fucking books that you would like. You could watch all the YouTube videos. You could do all of that shit. But you are never going to learn until you get in the water. And when you get in the water, you're going to be uncomfortable in that water because you don't know how to keep yourself afloat. And at that point in time, you have absolutely no choice but to learn, or else you are going to fucking die. So if you don't want to fucking die, you are going to figure it the fuck out. That applies to the remainder of your life. But again, the good news is you put yourself in the shitty situation, you have the motivation to better that situation. And if you do the work, you will get the reward. Period. If you go to the gym enough, you will get muscles, assuming that you don't work out like a complete fucking jackass. But even that as a whole doesn't really fucking matter. If you do something consistently enough and push yourself, you will get better. If you eat properly long enough, you will get in better shape. If you work hard enough at something, eventually you will figure out a way to make money of it. It doesn't matter. There's a statistic, or I don't know if this is a statistic, but they say that like 99 or 90% of podcasts don't make it past the first 10 episodes. And then of the ones that do, only 1% of them make it past. Of the remainder percent, hold up. I tripped myself up with my math. 90% of podcasts don't make it past the first 10 episodes. And then of the ones who do, only 1% of those make it past the first 20 episodes. So all that you have to do to have a podcast that will wind up being successful is just make a whole bunch of fucking episodes. But people aren't able to stick to those things consistently. They make a podcast, they drop, hell, you know what? I've been guilty of the shit. I tried starting doing that shit several months ago, did a couple things, and it didn't work out, or wasn't working out the way the rest of my shit was, so I gave up. It's not because the fucking podcasting was not working. It's not because podcasting was not going to turn out. It wasn't because any of this shit wasn't going to work out. I just didn't do enough work to make it work, which is the same thing for every single one of you who are not in the situation that you would like to be in. Everyone who has started a business and that business has not worked out is because they did not do the appropriate things to make it work. It is not because they are incapable of starting a business. I had a friend who wanted to be a videographer, and he went and got a photographer too, maybe both, maybe one or the other. It doesn't really completely fucking matter. But he went out and he got all kinds of fancy cameras. He had a bunch of Sony shits and Canons, and then eventually he got 2 Red cameras. There was like a real fancy one. She was like $100,000 at the time. Then he had a smaller one. It was like $80,000 or some shit like that at the time. This was a few years ago. I don't know what the fuck it is that they cost now, but you can Google it. These are not hyperbolic numbers. They are legitimate numbers. Anyway, so he had all of these fucking cameras. He had all of these lenses. He had all of this lighting equipment, and he's actually the one who told me to get this light that I have right here. He's the one who recommended this camera to me now, and the fucking lens I have on the camera. Anyway, he had a multitude of lenses, multitude of cameras, multitude of lights, and these fancy fucking reflector thingies to create back. I don't know what the fuck it is that they did. I'm not a camera person. But he had all of this fancy camera equipment. He learned how to use all of the shit. He had all of this editing software so he can take the pictures and he would edit the fuck out of them to the point that only he fucking knew what the difference was and how good it looked. And he could edit all the videos and shit fucking amazingly. He could swap out backgrounds on pictures. I don't know how hard any of that is, but I can't do any of it, so I imagine it must be difficult. Anyway, he put years, literal years, into setting this shit up. He had a S Corp or C Corp, some sort of corporation. He had some sort of fucking fancy ass logo, and the logo would load up on the screen with all kinds of bedazzling little effects and whatnot. He had a website and fucking home studio at one point, all kinds of shit. Everything needed to be a fucking videographer slash photographer. He paid models to take a bunch of pictures. He had picked shoots, videos, whatever the fuck that he had done of various celebrities. Everything that you would think that one needed, except he never wound up being a photographer slash videographer. And he assumed that he failed, and he took that loss and figured, fuck, I just can't. I tried so hard at this and I can't make it work out. And it just shook his confidence with all kinds of other shit. But the problem wasn't that the thing didn't work out. The problem was that every single thing that he did for all of the equipment gathering, all of the setups, all of the corporations, all of the websites and all of that fancy shit, he didn't do the one thing that he needed to do in order to have a successful camera person business, which was charge people money to take videos and pictures of them. He did every fucking thing in the world but offer his services. People do this shit with all kinds of things. People try to start t-shirt companies, come up with logos, come up with all of this fancy shit and do every single thing but put a t-shirt for sale and advertise that motherfucker. Everything around what it is, and then they assume that it did not work. People do the same shit with the gym. They get all of these workout programs, they get all of this fancy workout gear, they watch all the videos, they watch all of this other shit, and it feels like they're doing something. It feels like they're making a lot of progress, but all they have done is think about doing shit and prepare to do shit, but never do the shit. And then take that preparation as a fucking loss. But it was not a loss. It is not a failure. What the failure was not doing the one thing that it took to get in shape, which was go to the gym. Not doing the one thing that it took to have a successful t-shirt business, which was charge people money for a t-shirt. Not doing the one thing that it took to have a successful camera business, which was charge people to camera them. And if you would have done those things and you do them long enough, eventually you will succeed at the shit. Because, as I said, there is not a single person in the history of ever who has done every single thing necessary to succeed and then not succeeded. So if you were not succeeding in any area in life, it is solely because you were not doing what the fuck it is that's required.